Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us for IEDC's informational webinar, New Challenges, New Credential, and Introduction to the Entrepreneurship Development Professional. My name is Courtney Day, and I'm the Director of Professional Development at IEDC, and I will be moderating today's webinar. We will save all questions for the end of the webinar. However, we encourage you to type in your questions into the group chat throughout the webinar as you think of them, and we will be sure to address them at the end of the webinar if we do not cover the answer to your question during our webinar. It is my pleasure to introduce our speakers today, Jeff Finkle, IEDC's President and CEO, Tom Kucharski, IEDC's Chair, and also President and CEO of Invest Buffalo Niagara, and Maria Meyers, Executive Director of UMKC Innovation Center and founder of SourceLink. And without was I muted that whole time? Hold on one second.
No, you were only muted for the last minute.
Okay. All right. So just in case sorry about that. Hold on one second. So it's my pleasure to introduce Jeff Finkle, President and CEO of IEDC. Tom Kucharski, President and CEO of Invest Buffalo, as well as IEDC Chair. Maria Meyers, Executive Director, UMKC Innovation Center and founder of SourceLink. And without further ado, I will go ahead and give the floor to Jeff Finkle. Sorry about that.
You did fine. Thank you very much. It's nice to have all of you with us today. I'm going to share with you a short story. And you will hear the name Penny Lewandowski a few times during this session. But Penny Lewandowski invited me to come to Kansas City a few years ago to an event that Maria Meyers was involved with, and we met a group of people called the Gang of Five, and only Maria knows what that really stands for. This Gang of Five was encouraging of IEDC to stand up both a greater education action or activity around entrepreneurship, and they also encouraged us to do a certification. Maria and I conspired with the Economic Development Administration to grow some courses. She'll talk about those in a minute. And we turned to the Kauffman Foundation to help support a certification. Kauffman came to some of IEDC's events. Tom Kucharski was at those events, and eventually we started coalescing around these activities. And we didn't do this just because other people thought we should. It was becoming apparent that entrepreneurship was becoming a greater responsibility of economic development organizations. Some of them were doing it naturally. Some of them during the last recession we're doing more of it, and coming out of this recession, we would anticipate a lot of more new startups. Kauffman looked at IEDC and our members and said, frankly, we were an organization they wanted to partner with more around this. And so that is how we got here today. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tom Kucharski and let him carry the story further. Tom?
Thanks, Jeff. And thank you, Jeff, for your leadership in getting this new certification off the ground. You were steadfast in helping us pursue our course to where we are today. So To start off, I'd like to acknowledge some amazing partners we've had in the process. First, the Kauffman Foundation, their nationwide perspective on entrepreneurship and the landscape around the country was invaluable as we moved along this path. SourceLink has been an excellent partner developing the curriculum for this certification. I'm glad their own Maria Meyers is joining us here on the webinar in a few minutes. And I want to thank the Economic Development Administration's Denver office, who without the funding for this initiative, it wouldn't be possible. Jeff mentioned Penny Lewandowski, and we wish her great health in coming back from some challenges that she had. She was instrumental, linchpin, the go-to person that really kept this going and spearheaded it for several years, as Jeff said. As a CEcd myself, I've benefited from the knowledge gained from the IEDC certification and the network that it introduced me to and that I've become part of. It's also been exciting over my long tenure with IEDC in different capacities to see the CEcd grow. So it makes me extremely excited that during my tenure as the board chair this year, I'm very fortunate and I'm happy to announce that IEDC is launching its second certification, the Entrepreneurship Development Professional. As Jeff commented, several small businesses, are the lifeblood of our communities. Anybody in economic development knows that, and we work with entrepreneurs and small business folks every day. We all know they're savvy, they're resourceful, they're versatile, they're innovative, but no matter their strengths, they need an active and supportive ecosystem around them if they're going to be successful. This is a major reason why we developed the EDP certification, to equip economic developers to connect entrepreneurial support, economic development, and community development approaches in order to create a nurturing and thriving entrepreneurial ecosystems around the country and around the world. If you're working to support entrepreneurship in your community, this certification is for you. If you want to strengthen the entrepreneurial ecosystem in your community and region, this certification is for you. And if you want to increase your knowledge on entrepreneurship-led economic development, I think we can say we all do, and that is the future, this certification is certainly for you. So I encourage you to take advantage of it. You'll not only be helping yourself, but your community, your region, and you'll also be contributing to the professional development of this new field. Thank you, IEDC, for charging forward and taking this important step for our profession. Thank you, EDA, Kauffman Foundation, and Penny, and Jeff, and thank you, Maria Meyers, to you and your colleagues at SourceLink. So with that, Maria, I'd like to pass the floor to you.
Thanks, Tom. And thank you, Jeff, for your leadership during this process of launching this really important curriculum and certification. And I'd like to take a moment to also again thank the Economic Development Administration's Denver office, because they really provided us the opportunity to develop these new courses. You know, we are so very proud to be part of this project. We know that this is a tremendous opportunity to play a really vital role in the enhancement of entrepreneurial ecosystem in our community. So we are very honored and proud to be part of this project. So I just wanted to take a little bit of time to describe the process. We've been working on this for probably close to 2 years now, and we've developed 2 new entrepreneurship-led economic development courses. And how did we start? Well, we asked you. We started off with a needs assessment, and our team at SourceLink reviewed IEDC's current entrepreneurship-related courses. We conducted focus groups at several IEDC conferences in order to get feedback and learn what was needed to be included in the curriculum. And then we pulled together advisory boards to help us advise us on what should be in these courses, and talked with people to determine the learning outcomes and the course content. And IEDC's own working group reviewed and provided feedback on everything that we developed for the courses, from the curriculum outline all the way to the final training course manuals. And then finally, just recently, we were able to pilot the 2 new courses with a group of economic development and entrepreneurial support professionals. And we just finished that in late February. And through that pilot, we gained feedback, made adjustments, and have now handed the course off to IEDC. And our pilot was really very successful. We received many accolades from the participants. And you can see from just this one quote how people perceive the courses. This quote says, "These courses are a new layer to strategic economic development efforts, which focuses on bridging gaps between industry and economic support in organizations through the lens of an entrepreneur." You know, as this world recovers from COVID-19, and as you, the economic development professionals tasked to guide local and regional recovery, this certification will help. It will provide a framework and support for entrepreneurship-led economic development. Now, Jeff, let me pass it back to you, and you can tell them all about the certification.
Thank you very much. Our friends at SourceLink, led by Maria, were just absolutely essential at helping us get this forward. And if you haven't heard Maria speak in the past, or if you've not worked with SourceLink before, fantastic team at University of Missouri, Kansas City. So let me talk about, can you guys hear me okay? Yeah, I had this little sign that says your internet is unstable. At least it didn't say, Jeff Finkle, you are unstable. We've generated several new courses, and we are trying to help people think through all of the various steps of entrepreneurship. The field of entrepreneurship-led economic development certainly is not new. What is new is a pathway that we can help people walk through to prove to themselves, to prove to the people that they work with, that they have the skill set, or at least the knowledge, to support entrepreneurs. That is, in fact, what the certification is all about. If we can go to the next slide, Courtney. We're looking to work with people who support entrepreneurship, professionals looking to create or strengthen the infrastructure. We are hoping that people that take these courses and sit for the exam want to practice in this area of entrepreneurship-led economic development. If you think about the field of economic development, we are divided into a variety of fairly small niches. There is a niche of people who work in attraction-based economic development. There's a group of people who focus on business retention. There are a number of people that focus on finance tools for economic development, and even some who focus on real estate. We have honed out of one of these niches this whole notion of entrepreneurship-led economic development, and have built both a course structure and a certification around it. Next, please, Courtney. What this is, this course series and certification are about is designed and to implement entrepreneurship-led economic development strategies, how to help through these interactive training to help support entrepreneurship-led economic development, and continue support to contribute to the development of this I would not call it new field, but rather newly certified field based on what we are building at IEDC. Next, please. So with every certification, you're going to have some requirements, obviously. Here are the requirements that we have set up. 2 years of full-time experience in this field in economic development or entrepreneurial support. Now, and we have been fairly generous even in our current certification in economic development as to what those things mean. So if you're maybe doing small business lending in a bank, that may well count. And Courtney and one of her staff will look at those questions. If you're working in a business incubator, that's a no-brainer. If you're working in an economic development organization already on it, that's a no-brainer. But there will be some questions that Courtney and her team will work on. There are going to be 4 required courses. They are listed in front of you. Entrepreneurship and Small Business Development Strategies, Introduction to Entrepreneurship-Led Economic Development, and Accelerating Growth Through Entrepreneurship-Led Economic Development, and ED Credit Analysis. And then you can choose from 4 electives that IEDC already had in our basket of courses already. Next, please. So we're going to do this exam a little bit different than IEDC's Certified Economic Developer exam. That exam has 3 components to it: a short answer, multiple choice, and essays, and then a oral interview. We are taking the essays out of this particular exam. And the reason that we have done so is, frankly, to make it easier for people to, frankly, for us and the candidate, we can score the exams much quicker. The essays require a lot of different interpretations by graders. So we are not using the essay, but everything will be able to be machine graded. So our ability to turn around exams as to who passed or failed will be very quick. We have not written the exam yet. We're in the process developing it, but our first exam will be December 4th with the oral interview going on December 6th through 8th. And before we do the exam, there will be 3 steps to that. One will be the writing of the exam questions, a review by a psychometrician. That's a specialist in exam questions. And then we will be doing some testing with experienced economic developers to allow them to sit through a test so we can look for other bugaboos as we go through that process. Next, please. We have our first courses coming up. We're calling it an Economic Development Academy, where we have back-to-back courses: Introduction to Entrepreneurship-Led Economic Development and Accelerating Growth Through Entrepreneurship-Led Economic Development, April 20th through 23rd. And these will be virtual. IEDC is not having any in-person courses during 2021. And we will have to review in 22 whether we're going to have any or they're going to stay virtual. Go ahead, please. So the core courses, here are the dates for them. We just talked about the entrepreneurship-led economic development. We have 2 dates for that, one in April, one in June. Accelerating growth through entrepreneurship, April and July. Credit analysis, which we teach our credit analysis course in a partnership with the National Development Council. Some of you may have already taken that in the past. And entrepreneurial and small business development strategies. We just held that course a few days. Oh, excuse me, we have that course coming up in a couple days. I guess it starts tomorrow. And then again, August 26th through 27th. Next, please. And then the electives, neighborhood development strategies in November, business retention in May and September, and economic development finance programs May 19th through the 21st. Go ahead, please. Now, we have a number of people to acknowledge, and we've listed them here. The SourceLink Advisory Working Group was the Gang of 5+. I think either I wasn't heard or Maria didn't hear me. And then as Tom talked about, Penny Lewandowski, who was supposed to be helping to write the courses, ended up in a bad accident. So Dino Signori, TJ Becker, Mark Lang, Andy Stoll, and Paola Firestone helped step in and move that project forward once Penny was not available for this project. Next, please. And then there was an IEDC working group made up of Kathy Belk, Brett Downey, Mark Lang on both sides, Carol Loffer, Josh Mejia, Darren Redis, Lanier Richardson, and Bill Spruill all participated on the IEDC side. Needless to say, it was very important. It's very important for us to get practitioner input in this process. Go ahead, Courtney. So we now have some questions, and Courtney, you're going to manage those questions for us. Is that the way we're handling it?
Yes, so we do have a few frequently asked questions that we thought we'd start with. And the first one that we'd like to ask, and I'll ask this of you, Jeff, how is the EDP different from the CEcd?
Well, I actually answered that early on in my presentation today, in that the certified economic developer is a broad range of economic development issues, ranging from entrepreneurship, business retention, real estate, attraction-focused economic development, neighborhoods, as well as some basics to underwriting. And the exam is going to be different than the exam that we're doing for the ELED program. ELED is focused only on entrepreneurship and all of the pieces to entrepreneurship. There will be some potential for overlap. Needless to say, entrepreneurship in low and moderate income neighborhoods or minority neighborhoods is going to be heavily covered in the neighborhood course that we already have. There are real estate issues regarding entrepreneurship. There are finance issues around entrepreneurship, but this is solely focused on entrepreneurship.
Thank you. So you touched upon this a little bit at the beginning, but what is the job description of the ideal candidate for the EDP?
Well, I think somebody who likes working with entrepreneurs, wants to work with entrepreneurs, and frankly, somebody who wants to have a broad breadth of credentials in the economic development field. It seems to me you could get your finance credentials from the National Development Council. You could be a certified economic developer. And frankly, you could also then get your certification around entrepreneurship support. If I were a community wanting to hire a director, somebody with one or more of those credentials would be, seem to me to understand the full range of economic development quite well that way. But we're looking for people whose desire to, or is working with entrepreneurs on a regular basis and wants to just to round out their background.
Great, thank you. So I'm pulling up the group chat now to answer the questions that are in there. One more. Is it 2 years to start the certification process or 2 years by the time you sit for the test?
It is 2 years of experience, and many people may already have the experience under their belt currently. If somebody has that 2 years, and it's 2 years of experience by the time you sit for the exam. You don't have to wait to start taking the courses. That would be somewhat counterproductive if you were trying to learn it by using our courses and then not being able to sit for the exam for a period of time or not be able to start the courses. So people may already have the experience requirement under their belt. They have to sit through the courses. Those are required. But then once 2 years is passed, they can sit for the exam. I saw Tim Morgan ask the question that if you have already taken some of the other courses, yes, you can use one of the other courses to support your electives from the other field, and you do not have to take it a second elective, Tim. But and in fact, you may have already taken one of the NDC finance courses. So you may have one of those knocked off as well. Our goal is not, however, for there to be a shortcut between the CEcd and the economic entrepreneurship-led economic development. We're trying to create two distinct certifications with the emphasis on the new one around entrepreneurship. The course cost, which somebody just put up, it's the same, roughly the same price that our current courses are. And Phil or Courtney, you're going to have to, if one of you have that handy, to share what our early registration rates are versus late registration, both member and non-member. If somebody can share that, I would appreciate it.
Yes, we will drop that into the group chat. And so kind of related, Tim also asked if having a CEcd is a prerequisite for this certification.
No, absolutely
And
not.
it is not.
Yeah, Tim, we can anticipate, as you probably are aware, we have well over 1,000 certified economic developers. We actually think that ultimately there may be more people want to be entrepreneurship-led certified economic developers under the new certification that want to be in the CEcd, but we're not requiring one as a prerequisite to the other. They're somewhat independent certifications. I'm not anticipating we're going to roll out any other new certifications, but I could see in the future, many years from now, that there may be another narrow brand of economic development that we might want to highlight.
Thank you, Jeff. Elizabeth asked, in the required or elective courses, how is diversity and inclusion embedded? One of our regions has begun implementing a regional EI strategy, and there is an emphasis on this aspect. We are looking for training tools. Thanks for feedback.
So Elizabeth, in fact, Tom, can you interject here and maybe talk about some of the work that IEDC is doing on this, our special committee on race and economic development, and how it's influencing darn near everything we're working on now?
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Under Kenny McDonald's leadership and with the governance committee and really a pretty broad swath of the board and members of IEDC, when the pandemic hit, and then shortly thereafter we had a great deal of unfortunate incidents, and it concerned everybody, but it brought to the surface some very long standing and chronic issues of racism and social and economic inequities that everybody felt within the leadership of IEDC that it was time to really organize and make progress from an economic development standpoint among the talent and the expertise that we have as part of the council. And so a committee was organized, and it fast became probably one of our more, or was the most active and involved committee that we have going forward as far as committees of the board. I think we're up, over 70 members of the committee. People are very interested, they attend. We've had really good discourse in kind of examining the different aspects of racism and how it affects the wealth creation and the health of our communities as a whole and our nation as a whole. And we're now getting to the point where we're starting to transition from the initial leadership of Tracy McDaniel, along with, oh my goodness, his name has escaped my mind.
Kurt Chilcott.
Kurt. All I could see was his hat. Kurt Chilcott did a great job of co-chairing this and are now transitioning it to new leadership, and we're going to start to organize into subcommittees of this group. And there have been some really exciting, Jeff and a number of the members of the committee have been doing a really great job of identifying the strategic approach and some of the objectives and tactics to national foundations and strike while the topic is top of mind, and we actually have a chance of making some meaningful progress in this. And so some of the national foundations have become very interested in it, and we're going to work very hard on that strategic plan to get it to be an important part of and embedded into our strategic plan as we go forward. That this is not a sprint, it's a marathon, but we do have to make some meaningful progress that we can measure. You accomplish what you can measure, and so we want to assign some metrics to this work. And so it's a very serious part of in the last year, what was part of, I think, a lot of the curriculum and a lot of the courses and the conferences that we had, but this really defines it as a specific issue and one that's in need of great attention and involves a lot of really smart folks of different size communities and different types of communities across the country to share their expertise and lead this effort. So
Elizabeth, I'll take it one step further. IEDC has over many years tried to be a leader on issues around diversity and inclusion. ranging from, board membership to speakers at our conferences, to we're a contractor to the U.S. Department of Justice Weed and Seed program, which was largely minority neighborhoods. We were helping to support economic growth in those places. But on top of that, every 2 or 3 years, we go through all of our existing courses and we update our course manuals. And the focus of our current upgrade of our manuals is to make certain that diversity and inclusion, equity has all been seriously addressed in all of our existing coursework. We've probably gone overboard on your question compared to some of the others, but yeah, we do take this quite seriously.
Jeff?
Yes.
Can I just jump in and say for these particular courses, for this particular certification, the new courses were built on the concept of inclusive entrepreneurial ecosystem development. And actually a couple of the sections have been written by Del Gines, who's one of the foremost thought leaders in this area in probably internationally. He's with the Federal Reserve Bank. So you will find inclusive entrepreneurial ecosystem building throughout this entire new course structure. Just wanted to let you throw that in. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see which Elizabeth it was. If I remember correctly, happy birthday was recent, Elizabeth. Go ahead, Courtney.
Great. I believe we touched upon this one question previously, but yes, if you've taken the an IEDC course that is a qualified elective or core course for the EDP and you've taken it already, that can count towards your EDP. And then costs for the recertification, I believe, Phil, yes, it's $375 for a member and $555 for non-member. And then that's the same as it is for the CEcd. So we'll be following those same prices.
Other questions?
Yeah, let's see. I think that was most of them.
And Elizabeth, if you want to call me or email me and want to talk about this further, please just send me an email and we'll fix up a time to discuss further.
There was a question about the courses being available, the virtual courses being available live, and if those courses would also be available later to watch on your own time. And I believe they're all live, so there's none that will be available like an on-demand option.
Yeah. And if I think I saw a question from Tim Morgan, and if I think that's my friend who also graduated from Ohio University. Don't talk too loudly, Tim, because we beat Tom Kucharski's Buffalo team to win the MAC championship.
And you guys did us proud in the tournament. Yeah.
Well, we got through one round.
Yeah, that was okay.
Yeah. And we actually outscored Creighton in the second half, but we had so much damage done to us in the first half, we just couldn't get caught up.
Yeah.
When will the manuals be made available? Courtney, do you or Phil want to talk about that?
Yes, so the manuals will be available by the date of the first course, so April 20th. We will get those into the hands of our attendees by that date.
And do we have a link to the overall program? I see, Courtney, you provided a link for recertification requirements.
Yes. I will drop that in the group chat as well.
And I would let everybody know that next week, our new website will go up. So I think a link that you used today will still work once we set up the revised website, but I can't be sure of that. Phil, do you know the answer to that?
I believe we were saying, yeah, you said next week, March 31st is our goal.
No, but a link that you're using today, will it still work with the new website?
Oh, sorry. Yes, all those will migrate over.
Great, thank you. Other questions? Well, Tom, if there are no other questions, do you want to close this out?
Yeah, I think it's this is an exciting day. We finally got to having a program that fits with the reputation for IEDC and in the certification process and how it's recognized in our profession. And we have a timeline and a date of first class and first certification. So I think it's one more reason to be involved in our efforts and one more value that IEDC brings to our profession. And I encourage all of you that are interested to sign up and make the first class a very strong one and get us going on our way. So thank you all for your interest and your attention, and wish you the best of health going forward.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Maria.
Great. Thank you so much, Tom, Jeff, Maria. That concludes today's webinar. Thank you all for joining us.
Thanks, Courtney.